Have you ever thought about what famous people keep hidden? A lot of people have been talking about Richard Gere's son and a big riddle. People were interested in his life for a long time. At age 24, he finally told us something really cool that he had been keeping from us for years. Let's read about this big show and discover what makes it so unique. Richard Gere's family history and privacy. Richard Gere is a famous actor who is best known for his roles in movies like Pretty Woman. Still, a lot of people don't notice his family, which is a unique part of him. Richard is very careful to protect the privacy of his family. He sees them as hidden prize that he wants to keep safe. Imagine that you loved a secret place to hide that you didn't want everyone to know about. This is how Richard feels about his family. He doesn't want them to be seen by anyone. People are always interested in your life, particularly the life of your family, if you are famous. But Richard has always made sure that his kids don't get interested in those things. He doesn't want them to be constantly photographed or watched by the people. Richard wants his family to have their own space, like when you decide to hide your favorite toy so that it stands out. When Richard works on movies, he likes it when people see him. But his daily life is very different. When Richard works on movies, he likes it when people see him. But his daily life is very different. He has said many times in talks that he values privacy very highly. He believes that his children should live normal lives without being bothered by the media. It's the same as hiding a surprise under the right time. Think of it as having a favorite secret spot that only you know about. The way Richard protects his family helps them keep their private and unique life. A lot of reporters and friends have tried to find out more about Richard's personal life, but he is determined to keep it quiet. When you ask him about his family, he's polite but doesn't say much. Richard has chosen to keep his family life secret from everyone else. It's kind of like having a secret hideout that only a few people know how to get to. Richard mostly looks out for his kids because he wants them to live normal lives. But he doesn't want them to always feel like movie star kids. He wants kids to have fun while they're young without having to worry about being noticed all the time. How would you like to play a game in the park if everyone knew your dad was a famous person? Richard doesn't want his kids to be under that kind of stress. Even though the media was all over Richard, he stuck to his personal ideals. He believes that just because you're famous doesn't mean you have to talk about your private life with everyone. He keeps his family's presence a secret, which makes it more meaningful when they are given it on their own terms, like a surprise gift on a special occasion. Richard's strong desire to keep things secret shows how much he values keeping his family's life unique and pure without the attention of the public. There are some shocks that are better left a secret. This way of thinking about private has worked for Richard for a long time. Even though he is one of the most famous artists in the world, no one knows about his personal life. As Richard says, there are some things that should still be kept secret, even in a world where everything is shared online. That's also fine. Now, let's talk about Richard Gere's son, Homer James Gere Gere. We don't know much about Homer since he was born in 2000 because Richard doesn't talk about his family, something like when you hear about a secret club that almost no one knows about and are eager to find out more. Richard did not give Lowell a ride. They wanted Homer to be like any other kid and grow up out of the spotlight. So Homer didn't go to any photo shoots or parties for famous people. He instead lived a peaceful life by going to school and playing with his friends. Like having a secret place to play where you don't want anyone else to go. Of course, Homer got a lot of attention from the media. When they tried to find out more about Richard, he didn't give them many details. He wasn't clear when he talked about Homer and didn't say much. It's more interesting to know about a great secret spot and only tell a few close friends about it. Imagine finding out about a secret group that you really want to join. To keep things quiet, Richard tried to keep things about Homer secret so people only knew bits and pieces. People began to wonder about Homer because no one knew much about his life. Other people wondered if he might like sports or art, while others thought he might become a star like his dad. They were just guesses, they didn't come from actual information. Richard chose to hide Homer's life so that his child would not have to deal with unwanted notice. Some people also had doubts about Homer's personality. People thought Homer would be like Richard, who was known for being calm and smart. But there isn't enough information to say for sure what's going on. Richard's choice to hide his child from the world showed how much he cared about giving Homer a normal life. When Homer was seen very rarely, it would sometimes get the media excited. Richard always put his family first, so he has never talked about their personal lives. Having a favorite book that is unique to you is like that. Because you value it, you keep it close and don't tell anyone about it. Family privacy is important to Richard, so he keeps his family's life out of the public eye. Richard's strong desire to protect his son's privacy shows how much he wants to keep the public from seeing their life. In the same way that a unique book or website is more valuable when kept secret. Who is the son of Richard Gere? Richard Gere has a son named Homer James Gere. Homer is now a young adult. In 2000, Richard and Carrie Lowell had a son named Homer. They were thrilled to have him, but they decided to keep his life quiet. Richard is a famous actor, but Homer didn't grow up in the public eye. His parents made sure he could grow up normally, away from the attention of other people. Ober was supposed to have a famous dad, but Richard wanted Ober to be able to go to school and play with friends without anyone knowing who he is. A lot of people think that Homer's life was more exciting and busy than it really was. It was very important to Richard and Carrie that their son grew up in peace and on time. It's like having a special treasure hidden just for you. Richard wanted Homer's early years to be that one-of-a-kind treasure that could only be seen by a few people. It wasn't because his father was famous that Homer had a unique childhood. Instead, Richard Gere and Carrie Lowell made sure it was as normal and private as possible. A lot of famous kids go to big events, but Homer stayed out of the way. His parents made sure he could live a normal life, without being constantly photographed and with lots of time to play with his friends. Richard and Carrie worked hard to make sure that the reporters didn't see Homer. Details about his life were not talked about in interviews, and reporters were not allowed to take too many pictures of him. Richard wanted Homer to grow up without being watched by other people, so it's like having a secret clubhouse that only close friends can get into. Because his parents let him have his own space, Homer had a peaceful and happy childhood. It was Richard's choice to help Homer feel safe and at ease because he knew that growing up in public could be hard. Since the cameras weren't following him around, he could grow up without worrying about the constant noise of celebrity life. Richard tried to keep Homer's life secret, which made his childhood special and calm, like how a secret clubhouse is unique because no one can see it. Since Richard Gere kept his life so secret, people began to wonder about Homer. The Republican media started to guess what Homer might be like based on what little they knew. Some people thought he might be interested in something completely different, like sports or art. People asked him if he was going to become an actress like his dad. People also had ideas about Homer's personality based on Richard's level-headedness and logical approach. Some people thought Homer had to be the same way. Others think he might be outgoing and enjoy the spotlight, even though he's not often seen in public. But they were only close guesses because Richard didn't tell anyone the exact details of Homer's life. There are also many different ideas about how Homer lived. Some people thought he might live a more normal life, while others thought his famous father made him live a fancy life. There were whispers about Homer, but Richard's desire to keep his life a secret meant that they were just stories and not true. Richard made sure that Homer was safe from the media's attention. That's why the rumors and ideas didn't change much. Homer's parents made sure he had time to be himself, away from the spotlight, whether he goes in a completely different direction or turns out to be just like his dad. It's more valuable and unique because it's like having a secret place that only you and your family know about. The way Homer grew up was really his own because Richard tried to keep him out of the public eye, in the same way that a secret gem stays unique when it's kept hidden, the important truth. Think about someone who kept a secret for a long time and then chose to tell everyone about it. It happened just like that with Richard Gere and Homer. He finally told a big secret that many people had been thinking about when he was 24 years old. That's like when you hide a special toy in your room and no one knows about it until you decide to show your friends everything one day. What did Homer talk about? He did say something that made people very interested. Perhaps he had a cool skill or interesting fact about himself, like when you find a hidden treasure in your garden and are finally ready to show everyone. When Homer told the big secret, it might have been in a TV interview, a social media post, or a big statement. This is like when you tell your friends about a cool new toy or game. All of a sudden, a lot of people hear about it at the same time. Imagine learning the secret of a character you love. Isn't it fun? When people heard Homer's big confession, they might have wondered why he chose to tell his story now. Sometimes people wait until they feel ready to share something important. And for Homer, 24 might be the perfect age to do it. It's like waiting until you're older to have a big birthday party because you want to enjoy it more. Homer might feel like he's grown up enough to share his story now, or he might feel more confident about himself. He might also have thought it was the right time because of all the attention from fans and the media. It's like when you finally decide to show off your best drawing after putting it off for over a month. It's possible that Homer thought it was the right time. He might have just wanted to tell his story now that he was ready. It's like waiting for the right time to tell someone a secret you've been hiding. It's like waiting for the right time to surprise someone. It's not always possible to pick the right time, so what did everyone think of this big news? Fans, the press, and people who keep up with Richard Gere's work were all very interested. They were probably shocked, interested, and excited all at the same time. It felt like starting a new book when Homer's secret was brought to light. People saw Richard Gere's family in a new light and thought about things in a different way. After seeing this new piece of the puzzle, everyone was eager to learn more and figure it out. Think about how happy you'd be if a new part of the story you love was added. It is exciting because it changes how you see the story and the people. In that case, Homer's big reveal took place. It changed how people felt about his family and made them want to learn more. You felt like you learned something new about a story you thought you knew all the parts of. Like how it can be fun to learn something new about a favorite story, everyone was eager to learn more about Homer's big secret. Let's think about what might happen in Homer's life if he tells this big secret. Let's say you finally tell everyone about a secret skill you have, like being able to solve a really tough puzzle. People may want to see you solve more problems or even ask for help after they hear this. That's what could happen to Homer. If he starts talking about his life more or going out in public, people may want to learn more about him and ask him to speak at events or share his experiences, but Homer won't change everything about his life just because he told you something important. You don't have to show your friends everything in your room when you show them a new toy. Homer could still decide to keep some things about his life secret. You might decide that a life without the attention is more quiet for you. In the same way, you might rather play with your toys alone than show them to everyone. Showing off a new toy while keeping some of your favorite things to yourself is like that. That's how Homer might deal with telling everyone about his life. Putting some things on display while keeping others secret. Even if Homer chooses to be alone, he could still enjoy his time away from everyone and the cameras. Plan to have a special spot where you can be alone and no one will be able to see you. He doesn't have to change how he lives just because people are interested in him and try to guess what he's doing. You might only let a few close friends know about your favorite place to hide. Not everyone knows about it, so it stays unique. Homer can choose what is best for him. In the same way that you pick your best things to do and people to hang out with, Homer will decide how public or private he wants to be. He will find the balance that makes him the happiest whether he comes out to the world or stays out of it. Like deciding how much to talk about your favorite secret games or hiding places, Homer will have to figure out how to balance being in the spotlight with enjoying his alone time. Now that Homer has told everyone his big secret, he will have to deal with new chances and problems. Think about being asked to talk more about your favorite sport or being invited to cool events. In the same way, Homer might find himself in scenarios where more people are interested in his life. What he wants to do and how he wants to deal with all the new attention are things he needs to decide. Not because he told you something important, though. He doesn't have to change everything about his life now. He is free to enjoy his time away from the cameras and keep some parts of his life secret if that makes him feel good. Homer will always do what's best for him, whether that means going public or staying out of the public eye. He will find the right balance between his public and private life. Just like you choose how much to share about your friends and favorite things to do, Homer will find his own way to enjoy his private life while still being in the spotlight. What will happen in his life from now on? So, you might be thinking what Homer, Richard Gere's son, will do with his life now that he has told everyone something really important. Think about a time when you were hiding something. It might have been about a special gift or a surprise birthday party. Things probably felt different when you finally told everyone. Now that people know about Homer's private life, this is exactly what could happen. People are very interested when a famous person like Homer talks about something important in their lives. Imagine telling people about a new hobby you were really into, like building amazing Lego structures. They might want to know more and help you make even bigger works of art. That's like what Homer might be going through. If he starts talking about his life or going public, everyone will want to know everything about him. He might be asked to go to special events or be interviewed about his life. Imagine if you told all of your friends about a fun new activity and they all wanted to join right away. That's what might happen as people become more interested in Homer's life. But the truth is that Homer won't change everything about his life just because he told us something important. Think about how you could share a small secret and keep some things private at the same time. You could tell your friends about a new thing you bought, but you don't have to show them everything in your room. Homer goes through the same thing. He told us something important, but he might still want to keep some things about his life hidden. Like his dad, Richard Gere. Homer could choose to live a quieter life and stay out of the crowd. You have to decide between a fun trip and a nice day at home. You might like both, but you should pick the one that feels best to you. Homer needs to choose what makes sense for him and how he wants to live his life. Homer will have to choose between how much attention he wants to focus on himself and how public or private he wants to be. It's similar to how he would choose between a relaxing day at home and an exciting trip. Now let's look at how this big news might affect Homer's public image. Since more people know about him now, his life may get more attention. It's like when you get really good at a game and everyone wants to play with you. It could get a little busy, right? That sounds like something Homer might go through. If people want to learn more about him, they might want to see him at more events or hear him talk in person. Some people might think they'll see or hear more about Homer in public or in the news. But keep in mind that Homer doesn't have to do everything people ask just because they are interested. It's like when kids like you more at school. You will still have to decide how much to share and who to play with. Homer can choose how much attention he wants or not want. Imagine that all of a sudden, everyone wants to join you after you get really good at something. This is how Homer feels because more and more people find his life interesting. When to enjoy some alone time and how much to share will be up to you, but if Homer wants to keep his life a secret, he might still enjoy his time away from the cameras. Imagine having a place where you can be yourself, free from being watched all the time. People might wonder what he's doing and ask him questions, but that doesn't mean he has to change the way he lives. It stays special because not many people know about it. Some close friends should only be able to see where you hide your best things. It will be possible for Homer to make choices that are good for him. Homer will figure out what makes him happy and what feels good to him. The same way you pick your favorite hobbies and friends, whether he stays out of sight or makes himself known, he is going to make choices that are right for his life. Homer will have to decide how to handle the attention and whether he wants to stay in the spotlight or let people see his private moments. It's similar to how he decides how much to share about his favorite things to do or secret hiding spots. Let us look into this a little more to see what it means for Homer. What if all of a sudden everyone at your school paid a lot of attention to you? People may ask you to show them your best things, or they may send you more people to events. This sounds like something Homer might think of. People might be interested in his daily life, dreams, and hobbies if he wants to become more well-known and be in news stories and at special events. Still, being seen by a lot of people can be both hard and fun. It can be fun to meet new people and go to interesting events. It can be hard to deal with having everyone know everything about you. Homer will need to find a balance that works for him. He could choose to share some parts of his life and keep others hidden. It's like picking how much about your favorite game to share. While you could teach your friends the basics, you should keep some information for yourself. Imagine having to decide whether to keep a special part of the game for yourself or show your friends how much you love it. Homer will have to find that kind of balance as he deals with being famous again. Homer might still like his private time even if he doesn't want to be seen by anyone. He might keep living a simple life and focus on the people and loves that are most important to him. Because he told us something important, that doesn't mean he has to change the way he lives. He can choose to spend some of his time by himself and enjoy the peace and quiet of his own home. Now, Homer will finally be able to choose how he wants to live and how he wants to focus. Homer will choose how public or private he wants to be. He will make the right choice no matter what he decides, just like you choose how much to post about your favorite activities or friends. Homer will decide how to balance his public and private life to find out what makes him happy. He will also decide how much to share about his favorite activities and how much to keep secret. Now that Homer tells everyone something important, his life will probably change in some ways. There is a good chance that he will make bad choices whether he stays private or goes public. It's like being able to pick who you want to invite to your own events and how you want to show your favorite activities. No matter what path he takes, Homer will be able to shape his life in a way that feels good to him. Richard Gere's response. Richard Gere has always been liked for more than just his playing skills, even though he is famous for roles in movies like Pretty Woman and An Officer and A Gentleman. He's also known for being able to keep his life private and normal even though he's a Hollywood star and gets a lot of attention all the time. For Richard Gere, who values his family and personal space, dealing with the public's interest in his personal life has been a tricky balancing act. The lives of popular people are often constantly watched by the media and fans once they become well known. A lot of people are usually very interested in where famous people go, who they hang out with, and even what they eat. This might seem fun or interesting at first, but being under pressure and consumed all the time gets old. Richard Gere never seemed to enjoy being the center of such close attention. While a lot of artists love being famous and the lifestyle that comes with it, throughout his work, Gere has been very careful to keep his personal life out of the public eye. People have always said nothing about Richard's ties or family life. The media sometimes tried to prove his affair by making guesses about his love life or what happened behind closed doors. But Richard's answer was never angry or frustrated. Instead, he chooses to stay calm under pressure and steers the conversation toward his job, or just staying away from people who spread the lies. It's easy to picture what this must have been like for him. Anyone who has ever felt like they were being watched like a subject in a fishbowl where people would guess and speculate about his life would know how uncomfortable it can be. Richard was furious. It's like someone looking in your window and then making up stories about what they think you're doing inside. Gere's cool refusal to talk about the rumors shows how important it is to keep a personal story true. Richard handled the situation with class instead of getting angry at the press. He knew that responding to stories or talking to people who spread them would only make things worse. When Richard's son Homer talked about the family in public, though, that made the news. Since Richard is private, this may have come as a surprise to him. It must have been odd to hear his son talk about private parts of their life in public. It was like hearing a close friend spill a secret that was meant to stay private. That leaves someone open to attack. It feels like a part of you was shown to them without your approval. Richard may have been shocked when his son told him the truth, but he handled the situation with the same level of calmness that made him famous. Instead of getting mad, he probably thought about why his son might have had to speak up. In conversations, Richard has talked about how much he values his son's freedom and choices, even if they don't match up with his own need for privacy. At this point, Richard has shown a lot of understanding and patience by acknowledging that his son has a voice and the right to use it. Richard's calm answer to what his son said in public shows a lot of respect and patience. Richard's way of dealing with fame and his family is a great example of how to handle tough situations with ease. It can be tempting to get angry when people leak personal information or when the public preys into private matters. But the calm way Richard acts shows that there is another way to do things. He has been in charge of his story by staying calm and not getting involved in the drama. He has been putting more emphasis on his work than on the tales about his personal life. In many ways, Richard Gere's story tells us of how he looked for his own space of peace in the chaos of fame. Everyone needs time and space to be alone. And just like Richard, there is a way to deal with it when people, even close ones, tell our secrets or talk about things we'd rather not. Being kind and relaxed is key. That's the big secret about the son of Richard Gere. Isn't it fun to find out new things? Check out the next video for more funny and exciting stories.